Morning and welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 165. Each week we meet to answer the SEO questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. With us today we have Chase Rayner. Chase is an SEO from the west coast of the USA. You can find Chase at reliablecomputerhelp.com. Duchelle De Leon is also an SEO. She's an SEO manager at Digitized Marketing in the Philippines. And Masataki Wasa is CEO of WhatsAweb.net. WhatsAweb.net. Sorry about that. I had a temporary brain lapse. Masataki is also a Google top contributor on the AdSense and also the Google Plus help community. You can find Masataki at wasaweb.net. Micah Fisher-Kirshner is Senior SEO Manager for Zendesk in the USA. I'm not sure you can find Micah via zendesk.com, but I'm sure you can find Micah on the web somewhere. He's also a regular speaker at SMX. And Tim Capper. Tim is proud to call himself an SEO. He's a conversion rate optimization specialist from the UK. You can find Tim at onlineownership.com. All right, our first question tonight is available as soon as I find the right button to click. Just bear with me 1 second. Our first, there we are. The first one is a question from a good friend of ours, Stephen Sicantelli from Abraxas Taxi, Florida in the USA. And he's asking, can adding Pinterest WMT to your website help with SEO? That confused me because I hadn't heard of Pinterest WMT, but it looks like it's not look, I'll throw it open to you guys. Let us know what you think of Pinterest.
I've never heard of it. What I'm thinking is this well, I don't know.
You can verify your Pinterest account, business account, and you can link it with the site. But I'm not so sure whether that's what Stephen's talking about.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what it is. But Steve, how would you? I mean, it's like anything. It's just a question in terms of what are you going to be posting on Pinterest. I mean, I suppose if you created a board with funny pissed people falling out of a cab, that could be really entertaining. Could generate a lot of interest and buzz there. You know, like the top 10 taxi fails and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm sure something like that could work, but I don't really know how the Pinterest in itself would work with your business in that sense. But then again, I'm just clutching at straws because I didn't know they had a webmaster tools for Pinterest.
I think it's just a Pinterest user looking at the URL of the Pinterest WMT that we see in Google search.
Oh.
If he's asking whether a link on a Pinterest page to his site is going to help him rank or not better in Google, then I would definitely say no.
However, it could bring you some nice traffic.
Yes.
Because I think I've mentioned this with Steve before. One of my best wins for not a cab company, but it was like we call them private hire in the UK, because you've got registered black cabs and then you've got private hire. So basically, it's more luxury, high end, BMWs and Rolls Royces and things like that, which are available for private hire. And yeah, same again. What do you talk about with these? But what we did there was we created a really cool page on some of the top 10 most expensive, I think it was top 20 most expensive cars in the world. This was a little while back, and then and we got some really cool images and blah blah, and I mean that got shared mega times. So in terms of traffic and people coming through, is it going to actually do anything really in that sense? No. But in terms of traffic and getting your brand out there and getting a couple of mentions, and yeah, it's good. Never stop at anything based upon whether a link, in terms of link juice. Just think about it in terms of traffic and will it increase my brand? Will people maybe mention me a bit more? Yeah.
Tim, would you say that when people come to a site, maybe through Pinterest or something, them interacting with that site would help with the ranking at all, or no?
I wouldn't say necessarily with the ranking, but you're building brand awareness. Especially in the travel market, that I'm sort of used to. If we get really good shots of the beach and the chairs and the sunset through the room window and the white sand, something like that from a different angle, blah blah. Wow, man, just gets shared like crazy. And then traffic comes through, and then they view one room, and then they want to go and view more rooms, and then someone mentions the name. So for brand awareness, yeah, it's great. It's really good for brand awareness because there's a few more people mentioning you, mentioning this. But in terms of actually ranking, no.
And maybe they're going to come back later by Googling, that brand name, and that might not influence the, SEO of that site, but it might influence the search results.
Yeah, and it's all about the whole holistic thing. More people searching for you, knowing about your brand, and then the whole thing trickle down. Those people builds up, and a year later you sell another room and you sell another. So it's also good in the sense that when people start talking on social, so someone will go, "Hey, I'm looking for a place in Thailand," and someone will go, "Oh shit, yeah, I remember this one. Oh yeah, check this site out," and it all adds up. It all adds up to that brand awareness. Good old-fashioned marketing, really.
Yeah.
As to Pinterest WMT, maybe Steve can enlighten us a bit more, and we could possibly give him a more enlightened, informed answer.
Okay. All right. Let's call that one a wrap, and let's move on to our next question. We've got a quiet night tonight. 9 questions, 1 news item. Another question from Stephen Sicantelli, titled "Mozrank up, but domain and page authority are down." Does this have something to do with new Google changes?
No. So Moz is only a approximation of what Google has. So any of the Google changes doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see a shift over on the Mozrank side, or kind of domain and page authority. So just, yeah, the two aren't related, and Moz basically tries to kind of approximate as best as they can, but it's completely possible that the Mozrank and Trust are, there's a shift in your in the background metrics. So kind of within the metrics, yeah, your rank and trust are up, but then it might be that those are coming from less authoritative sites that are adding up to creating, more rank and trust, but just from a larger pool of lower authority sites, and so that's bringing your domain or page authority down. So that's one of the ways to look at it, but it wouldn't have anything to do with kind of Google's changes.
Yeah, and I don't like Moz because they gave me like a spam score of 2 or something out of whatever. I don't have one single dodge anything, and they give me a spam score of 2. You can take a flying walk, man. From Google.
Yeah, Tim, they gave me a spam score of 3 one time, or actually I still have it, and I wound up spending all this time trying to fix it, and I wound up just giving up because I just couldn't figure it out.
That's ridiculous. One of my sites that I played with ages ago, right, that got slapped for when they released, it actually got slapped with a manual spam penalty. So like that one, if anything should have a bloody spam score, that's like 0. I'm like, yeah, okay, sorry. I give up. Go home. You're drunk.
So on the west coast of the USA, Micah, it's heading into winter now, is it?
Yes. And I'm wearing a jacket because the heater's not, we have to fix that. So I'm surviving without having a heating system right now.
On the east coast of Australia, we're heading into summer. We actually had a heat wave hit in our area yesterday. It was...
I heard it was like 90 plus Fahrenheit degrees Fahrenheit. So, yeah. Almost hitting up to what was that? Probably 38 Celsius.
Dang it. I just crank up my central heating to whatever I want it.
I didn't realize it
came to destroy our planet.
I didn't realize you needed an AC up in foggy old England.
No, central heating. We don't need AC.
Ah, yes.
If we want a bit of fresh air, open the door, open the window.
All right, Stephen Sicantelli, I hope that answer was sufficient for you. All right, so let's move on to the next, and this one is from Victoria Spall. This is a really long question. I won't attempt to read it all. I'll just read the first paragraph. I imagine that you guys have read it through the week. But Victoria said, hello there, I've requested that my client's developer fixes the 500 errors that keep appearing in the Google Search Console crawl errors report. But he doesn't want to tackle this until we get to the root issue that determines where these URLs are coming from. She said the URLs that are being detected appear to be from a much older version of the site and potentially from some other domains that they had set up that were effectively duplicates of the site with different domains, which have since been redirected. The thing I'd say to the developer is that it's not a matter of getting to the root cause of where the links are coming from, because his site should be written in such a way to.
Did we just lose Jim?
I thought that was me.
No. Jim,
We lost Jim.
He's still in the hangout, isn't he?
Yeah, he's died of heat stroke. He was bragging on about how much he's had a stroke. He's dehydrated.
Well, in the meantime, we could probably just answer the question if we wanted to. Let's see. 500 errors. So who knows how Google's Search Console has suddenly found them and why they're only now showing them to you, but to me it just suggests there was at least some links to it, especially if you mentioned this was the old site. So Google's probably crawled a link that's leading to these current error pages. And if these are...
apparently she's saying all these errors are caused by old URLs, sort of on an old version of the site.
Yeah, but why is... I mean, the thing that interests me in a sense is why is it giving 500 errors? I mean, that's sort of... it is on the site, isn't it? There are issues on the site that's configured in a way to return 500.
Yeah.
So if it's an old site and then they're gone, then you would want to, return 404 or something like that rather than 500.
Or redirect it to the new site.
Yeah.
Depending on the quality of those pages.
Yeah. Or any current 404s that she's got on the new site's version, are those... What's the status code serving on the 404s? I mean, dumb question. You probably did check those.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, because if the older ones are serving 500s, maybe the newer ones might be too. So you might want to double check to make sure you're not accidentally serving 500s. I mean, he is mentioning that they did switch kind of the back end from what is that? Alias to .net. So could be that I mean, it might be the old Apache server they use is now for whatever So here's a possibility. The Apache server's down, so it's serving. The Apache server probably sends out a 500 issue. Because of that, and so if the old URLs were not migrated to the IIS or .net, to the .net, that would be my guess. If I had to go down the dev thinking here, I think that's probably what's occurring. Is that server's down? It was all those pages over there, not ever migrated, so it's looking at thinking that it's actually temporarily down. And thus serving all the 500 errors.
One thing that does slightly concern me is you've said here also, my recommendation is to redirect all of these URLs that serve a 500 error to the home page. Now, depending on what those URLs were, I don't think the home page is your ideal place to redirect some of those. I mean, if you can identify what that old URL is, you should rather everyone redirect it to the new URL or to the nearest possible category that you can work out. But I personally wouldn't redirect all these, little crappy URLs to the home page.
And in trying to implement that, the dev will have to sort out the 500 issue.
Yeah, certainly.
So, so I'm not 100% sure what the developer's argument is, to be honest, in this instance.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean the developer just wants to find out what's the root cause so they can provide the right type of fix. However, that root cause often is going to be through someone, which in theory should be something that the developer should be able to find out. It's kind of more their domain, so that's the only thing. Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. I dropped. I had an internet outage. Yeah. So did we finish covering the question for Victoria?
Yep.
We did. Okay. Just bear with me. There we are. I'm not completely back on either. So if I drop off again, you know what to do. All right, let's move on to the next. Fortunately, we don't have a lot to do tonight. Let me see. I'm going to go back here. Try refreshing my page. I'll be a second, guys. Sorry. Can you guys see if you can continue? I think we're still connected to Google Hangouts. Can you guys go on with the next question? I can't read it from here, but have you got it there, Micah?
Yeah. So, question 4. This is from Nina K. Hi guys, does anyone know whether there are SEO benefits from hosting an open API on your site? One that has a lot of rich content, and then any negatives such as duplicate content. Let's see. Dave Elliott jumped in on this. He's noting it just depends on how useful it is and if people link to it. So So yeah, if you're using somebody else's, is that and they're constantly updating it, you don't really have to do much. But yeah, he's saying as well that you won't rank for these items anyway. So it's just there's no real benefits. Let's see. It's better to kind of rewrite with your own kind of input. That you kind of want to have. Let's see. You have your own input on kind of the stories. Yeah. You want to make sure the content is unique. So if you're just pulling in content from elsewhere, a small portion of your site, of a page, that's fine. But you want to make sure that you're not doing that fully. Like syndicating content, as long as it's classified and noted as syndicated, just kind of, or guest kind of speakers or whatnot.
I think we kind of get down to the root of it further down when she says to Dave, she was thinking more in the sense of actually linking out to sort of authority sites can give you a benefit, and she quotes a Moz article on 5 reasons why you should link out to other websites. Okay, so in that context, in that whole context, Nina, hosting, let's say, example, the NHS's feed article on your site, you've got to look at 2 things. Does it benefit the user? Forget SEO for the minute. Will it benefit your users? Will they find it interesting? Fine. And the answer, tick, yes, they will. Well, then the other point is, if they're reading those articles and then they click through to the NHS, you've just lost a user. So why do you actually want to do that in that sense? Take that article which you think that your users would enjoy, rewrite it to giving it your perspective from your company's perspective angle, possibly add to it maybe extra data, in-depth or research to it, and then yes, you can always add a little link out to that, but don't go linking out for linking out's sake. It doesn't kind of give you that SEO benefit. If it makes sense for you to reference someone in an article or on your site somewhere to an additional source of information, that's great. But just remember, the other flip side, if you're putting that link in there and the user then follows that, will they come back to your site? Have you lost them for good? You've got them, they're engaged, they're reading it, and you've lost them because you placed a link to somewhere on the NHS or something else, or Wikipedia, something or other, and they're gone because they forgot what they were looking for. They've finished up finding the information and they've left. So you've got to weigh these things up. Yes, linking to an authority or the source, it provides a structure and understanding for search engines, but in terms of, right, if I go through every page and link every page on my site out to an authority source, will that help me position myself better, go from position 4 to 3? No, it won't. So, it's in the whole sort of holistic approach to a site. Does it make sense? Things like that. I mean, the ideal thing that you want to do is take something that the NHS has written, add to it, provide even more in-depth information to it, to get people finding your source, your data better than the NHS's. But hey, you might even get the NHS to start seeing your content and go, oh, start getting a link out from you. Start thinking about it in that sense. Does Jim want us to go to the next question, or are you back, Jim?
I'm still having trouble. I'm guessing it's something to do with the Google Plus, because I can get to other sites, but I can't get back to this one. It might not be that, but anyway, I'm still trying to figure it out. But yes, please go on with the next question. I'll edit them later.
So question 5, Marty Eigner. Basically, he's saying I have switched a website over to HTTPS a few months ago, and now I have no links shown in my search console. The links in the HTTP version have also disappeared. So he's trying to figure out what's happened. And accordingly, he has added the HTTPS version in his search console as a separate site. Probably he's done this, but my next question is did he do both the www and the non-www version of his site? But that would be my next question, although I know that console gets a lot of bugs sometimes, but yeah, I don't know what else might stem from this. You could always send a bug report to Google as a way to kind of see if they might be able to fix that, and see if it might be just a general bug versus anything he's done.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I'm sure they had a change of address tool.
Yeah, but I don't think you need change of address if you just switch your non-secure to secure.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. So if he's added the new site, obviously in Search Console, yeah, I'm assuming you've got a sitemap in there, new sitemap in there. Is it showing any actual sort of search analytics in the new HTTPS version in the Search Console? And of course, have you put the right version in of the right version? So is it the HTTPS www version, and did you not inadvertently do a HTTPS non-www version in the Search Console? Little things like that. But if those all match up and you're getting search analytics data, but the only thing you're not seeing is the links, then send some feedback. It should, there might just be a bug there, but if everything is properly lined up, you're getting search analytics data coming through, then potentially it's just a bug that hasn't updated, hasn't updated with the links. Because if everything else is aligned, and the only thing that's not showing is the links, and I would say that's some kind of glitch in the matrix there.
I'm still having problems, Tim, so if you think that question's covered, can you go on to the next? I think I've got this back.
Oh, pretty good.
Can somebody read the next question? I think I've got it back, but I'm still having problems.
Okay. Question number 6, and it's from Sandeep Serawat, and says, "Hello friends, I'm facing a traffic dip in my projects recently from last month. What to do to increase traffic? To increase referral traffic, organic traffic, and direct traffic also." And he gives his sites in one of his later comments, and there are 3 sites. Shall I read them out, or you could find them? It's his last comment.
All right. So basically, he's asking whether there's been any particular kind of update, because pretty much it seems like all his traffic is dropping. The thing that certainly concerns me is in I think in his second or third comment, he says, "My work schedule was social bookmarking, microblogging, image sharing, directory submissions, articles, Web 2.0, doc submissions." Now, I know Penguin hasn't rolled out this year. It's on its way, but that would be certainly one of my concerns in terms of when you mention those old-styled
Yeah. Does he have Search Console account, and are there any issues on his account? That might be one of the first places to start. Excuse me. It's very difficult because we don't know the baseline. We don't know what it has decreased from. What was the traffic profile before the dip? What sectors were dipping? So on and so forth. So it's a bit hard to comment, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at this Viz Media. I'm looking at your hospitality page, and there's nothing on it, mate. Couple of images. Let me go back into services. Yeah, there's essentially nothing on these sites. Oh, hang on. If I scroll a bit down here, we've got some stuff. Yeah, I mean, without kind of knowing, without sort of looking at Search Console, seeing.
and one site that ought to be secure isn't. Of the 3 sites listed, one is secure, 2 aren't, and the e-commerce site is not secure. And I'm going through the checkout process and it's still not secure, so that's a bit of an issue. I doubt that that has anything to do with traffic as such, but you know, just throwing in.
Yeah, and talking about traffic, of course, you know, he said about direct. Well, direct is essentially brand marketing. You know, if people don't know about your site, then you know they're not going to come to you. The images.
Okay, so we're on question 6 at the moment, are we?
Yes.
Okay, and have we covered question 6? Let me see. It was relating to how we can increase traffic. Yes.
Yes, it's very difficult to really speculate or suggest things because we don't really know sort of the before and after picture in any meaningful way. Even though Sandeep has posted the websites in question. So, yeah, I mean, we can speculate about things, but it's very difficult to say, you know, specifically this and that. Though Tim, I think, has been right in suggesting that his methods of generating traffic and links, that may not be ideal, to say the least.
I mean, yeah, crikey. Look, I'm not going to bash you in any way, shape, or form, but you know, the Viz Media site, your link profile, if Penguin had to roll out in the next week, I'd hate to say this, but I think you are a perfect candidate for a manual penalty. That is for sure. I mean, I haven't looked at anyone's else apart from the Viz Media, and you know, I think you really need to take care of that. I don't think that this is anything to do with your traffic drop now, because you know, these haven't run out, and you know, it hasn't run out yet as such, and your blog seems okay. I can't see that it's kind of just scraping any sort of content from anywhere else. So in terms of if this happened to be sort of like, let's say, a panda, then I don't think that's particularly an issue there. But you know, for future, I really don't think the continuing on the path of building these links that you have been is very wise.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's move on to the next. I'll just get this sorted out and working, and we'll run out of questions. I noticed it began to work a little bit better when God joined us.
Why do you always call him God?
Wait till he speaks.
All right. Here's a question from Luke Pilkington Ching. Luke asked a question regarding Alias domain ranking higher than the main domain. He said, I've got a website where the Alias domain has started to rank higher than the main domain in the last 2 days, and the main domain has dropped. What to do? I see Dave Elliott in the chat. Sorry, in the comments on the SEO Questions community on Google+. That he said he would canonicalize and submit a sitemap via the Google Search Console with the correct domains, and depending on the CMS, you might not need to do it 301 redirection via an htaccess file. For example, in WordPress, you can set the primary domain by the domain section of your admin area. He's talking about redirecting the alias domain to the main domain. Can I get another comment on that just to verify that was reasonable advice?
I would second that.
Thank you. All right, let me tweet that and move on to the next. And it's question 8 on your run list. I didn't see this one. Skylands asked, can you please discuss link juice, as I'm confused when it comes to the structure of a website. Does the standard navigation on most sites that have about, contact and other pages cause link juice to be reduced, as some of the juice goes to these pages? I've read that you shouldn't no-follow the terms and conditions page or the privacy page, but aren't you losing juice with a link to these on every page? To me, it would make more sense to keep a follow link to the terms and privacy page, but no follow the rest of the pages. Any advice is appreciated. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, PageRank sculpting is kind of like really old school, where people believed that they could, you know, have your, have different pages, sort of sculpting it to have different pages have a higher PR value than lower ones. But what Jim replied is perfectly accurate. You can't. Everything ultimately ends up sort of kind of flowing through. So it starts. It tends to, it's like anything, tends to start at the top and slowly trickle down. I mean, you can't go and like follow links to your privacy page because you don't want any juice to flow through to your privacy page. It just it kind of doesn't make any sense. You just rather let Googlebot crawl your site, understand your site perfectly, and you're not going to be able to sculpt these things in that way anymore. Googlebot wants to know what's on your site. And just give it free rein, as Jim says.
I would agree with this, and I would also say that you should focus on trying to get your site as descriptive as possible for Google in terms of links. So if you have your first paragraph in one of your pages talking about what you do, and then there's an opportunity for you to link to another page, which kind of describes more specifically about what you do, then you should link to that page, because it's going to look good to users, and it's also going to look good to Google to be able to find out more about you. And as far as passing link juice, internal linking, in my opinion, works really well. I don't really even do link building campaigns for external links, so what I usually do is I just keep creating pages on my site and keep updating it with fresh content, and then I will put links to other parts of my site in those pages, so that I can keep getting other parts of my site crawled through those links.
Yeah. All right. We're nearly finished, guys. I think this is our last question. And it's a question from Matt Rains, who's a good friend of ours. He's asked a question on a full URL on a landing page. Matt goes on to say, hi, we've just noticed that in our landing pages section, the #1 landing page is the home page. But usually this is represented by a /. But we've got the full URL present as shown in the image, and he provides an image which can be seen on the SEO Questions community on Google+. If you look for Matt's original question, but it'll be near the top. I don't think you can see it on your screen there, but maybe you can. But he wants to know, has anyone seen this before, or why it's happening? It has us puzzled. I'll try and make that image larger.
Yeah, I think Federico's right on it there, because in front of that URL is a /, then with the www again. Now, without exactly seeing that, is there an inbound link? Is there a broken link somewhere that is, instead of for example, if you hit the back page, has something gone squonky and it's not back into the what I'm saying is there a dodge link in there somewhere that somehow appeared? Also, can you do?
Yeah, go on, Tim.
I would also look at in that specific page you're in there. Look in the secondary dimension for the referral path and see if you can narrow it down slightly, or like what Federico said, look in the search console. But look in your second dimension and referral path and see where that traffic has come from. Are those coming from internal pages that you can narrow down and then check those pages, or just you just need to find out why that URL is being displayed like that. Could also something funky could have gone on with in your htaccess with setting your preferred domain. I would also look at that.
All right. I think Matt, I hope we've shed some light, and thank you for your question. All right, let's move on, and we get to. Okay, we've answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. Now we get to our weekly news roundup, where topics of interest are posted on the SEO news community on Google+, and once a week we comment on them. I think we've only got one news item tonight, and that is a share by Edwin Yonk with the title "Be the Owner of the Google My Business" listing, and it was an article by you, Tim. So I'd ask you to talk about this company, Map Registrations, who sound a little bit shonky to me, Tim.
Yeah, I don't normally out businesses. Everybody has, everybody has a good day and a bad day. What I've found quite rough about these guys is the basic service premises is they will help you set up your Google local business page. They will help you manage it, etc. for a fee. Fair enough. The problem is when they set it up, they don't create an account for the owner, or they don't use the business owner's own account. They will create an account, register it, the business owner will phone through with the PIN code, and they will verify it. But at that point, they should always hand that account to the owner, so that the actual owner of the business is the owner of the page. This is a service they've paid for. What they do is, or they don't even add the owner as a manager or add themselves as a manager so that they can manage it on a monthly basis. They essentially retain ownership of the page. When the owner no longer, feels that the monthly service is a benefit to them, basically these guys want to charge an additional, over and above, let's say, the £100 and something odd a month management fee. They want to charge an additional 25 to transfer the ownership back, which is not actually theirs to transfer. When you create a business account, you tick a little box saying that I'm authorized to represent this business, blah blah blah. It's not that I am the owner or anything like that sense. So they don't, it's very cheeky. They're charging a monthly service, and then they want to charge an additional £25 to the owner to transfer ownership. So I'm calling them out on that. And then over and above that, in this article, I actually detail the step-by-step process that the owner that's been screwed by these people should take to get the ownership back via Google support, business support, rather than having to pay these idiots 25 quid. It'll take you between 7 to 14 days to get it back. Naturally, Google needs to verify that you're the owner. They need to give these other idiots time to actually transfer the ownership. But ultimately, if none of that's taken care of, then Google will transfer it for you to your new account. So yeah, don't give in to these muppets, and don't pay them. End of.
Okay.
Here.
Sorry, what was that, God?
All right. Well, we had a few technical issues tonight, and I apologise for that. I guess that it's something to do with the hiving out of Hangouts and removing the plumbing from Google Plus. And no doubt they'll get them going. I am very grateful that we have a facility like Hangouts on Air, and the amazing thing is that it's free. It fits our budget. Okay. If you're still watching, and I can see that we do have viewers, and I must say that I noticed that we had a lot more viewers tonight when everything is breaking down and falling to bits than we normally do when things are technically perfect. But I hope that you continue to join us next week. We thank you for your interest in what we do, because your participation makes what we do worthwhile. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again.